First off, I'd like to say congrats to the baseball team and softball teams for getting off to such good starts. Baseball team beat up on Purdue, huh? Man, no, but just no, it's a good one. But just congratulations to those guys. But for us, got obviously a Georgia team that's playing well, doing a great job of getting to the basket, probably as well as anybody in the league as far as dribble penetration and getting fouled. The big guys getting offensive rebounds. If they don't get it in, getting fouled. So doing a good job as a team. Charles Mann is playing as well as any point guard in the league. I think he's getting to the free throw line about 11 times a game, which is impressive for guy 6'5" at the point, almost probably 215 pounds. Kenny Gaines has really played well, I think, shooting the ball for those guys, attacking the rim. George is still playing well for him, coming off the bench, making shots, getting rebounds, posting up. But they're playing well as a team.
Obviously, this week was a couple missed opportunities for you with Florida and Missouri, but you look at some of the mock brackets and your goals are still out there in front of you. What have you told the team in terms of just trying to not dwell on what just happened and kind of focus on?
Well, the one thing I always try to do as a coach, not dwell on the past. I mean, we watch film of the last game, walked through some things yesterday. Because when you're talking about an 18-game season in the league play, a lot of things happen. But you got to try to focus on the next game, which is easier said than done, especially for young guys. Even for me as coach, you watch film over and over again, figuring out ways you could have tweaked some, changed some, did something differently. But it's part of it. But for our guys, it just get over it as fast as you can, learn from it, and keep moving forward.
The stretch there of the game Saturday, Jarrell didn't really see the ball very much. Was there some plays called for him was just missed, or what?
Well, there were definitely plays called for him. I think more than anything, I thought our guys on the perimeter had some good looks, and they shot the ball. But you got to do a better job of getting inside to him, even if I had to throw it inside to him myself as a coach from the sideline. And we watched film as a team. There were opportunities, and there were a couple of times I don't think he posted as aggressively to get the ball. And like I told y'all, sometimes you have to come off the block and get it. You might not get the deep post that you would like just to catch and shoot, but come off the block. It's tough, but you got to take that double team if it's coming and just find guys. I thought he did a great job of really, especially in the first half, of finding guys when they double and making plays. I mean, he does a really good job with that anyway, but keeping balls alive offensively. But I think from our standpoint, me as a coach, you got to really lock in on that, make sure he gets the ball. Because a very unselfish player, I like for him to be more selfish, more assertive, especially around the rim, because that's not his nature, just to shoot balls. But we got to get the ball to him, and our guards got to do a great job really finding them. And sometimes, like I told our guys, it's going to be tough passes because of the way teams hover around them. We got to try to punch it in there.
Cuonzo, was the loss of Trey Golden, do you think, more significant than you realized at the time when he decided to transfer?
Well, I think when you lose key parts to a team, outside of a guy actually graduating, when you lose key parts, because there's a chemistry and guys, identify with certain guys, guys' rotation, their games. So, of course, that's always the case when a guy started for you for 2 years, especially at that position.
Where's the pressure for you in your third year here and trying to make the tournament for the first time here? Do you feel the pressure that, like the guys maybe feel as well?
Not at all. I just think as a coach, you got to do your job. That's the bottom line. You stay locked in on what you need to do to be successful. Because I'm constantly watching film, doing my job, whatever it takes for our teams to be successful. Put forth the best game plan for your team to be successful. And I think that's what you do as a coach. I mean, you don't consume yourself with the periphery or whatever pressures. Because I don't think anybody or anything can put more pressure on me than myself.
So the last 2 games, you guys have kind of been in that final stretch, and kind of whether is it execution or is it maybe more mental with your guys that maybe not played as well late in games these last 2?
Well, I think in some cases, you can always say execution when it comes down to stretch of ball games, but I think for us and again we watch film on it, some of the execution on the defensive side of the ball, and I say it all the time. We always talk about execution offensively, but it's the same thing on the other side of the ball. And I just think down the stretch, getting a key stop, or a guy like Brown, forcing him to go left as opposed to going right. He made a couple plays going right. And we did such a great job down the stretch of making him go left and forcing him to make plays, and it was tough for him. But you allow him to go right, he makes plays. But just different things like that. I mean, because it goes both ways. It's on both ends of the floor.
You think some of your players are maybe tight when it gets in a close game, late in a close game like that, or are there nerves there that you can maybe tell or sense when they're out there?
Man, I go back to my days as a coach. I mean, I don't know if you call it nerves, but I was locked in on games like that. Nerves, tight, butterflies, whatever the case may be, down the stretch of games. But I think that's when you get sharp on both ends of the floor. But you got to step up. It's open shot, you got to knock it down. Got to take care of the basketball. Got to carry out assignments, whether it's offense or defense. Then whatever happens, happens. But you got to have the execution.
On Darnell, not to say that, I mean, it's his fault all, but you're a junior and you started for years, and look at a game like that, you're 6 or 7, you're the team's in foul trouble. I mean, is he the kind of guy that just pulled the guard aside and say, hey man, I'm meeting these guys for lunch, you got to give me the ball, and he doesn't take a shot in the last 17 minutes? And is that part of the solution, maybe?
Well, that's what I talk to him about all the time. Even last year, even his freshman year, just really demanding the ball. He's a low-key kind of guy, but just be big, demand the ball, throw me the ball, whatever the case may be, because he's done a great job really scoring it around the rim, facing up, knocking his shots down. And again, he's a good passer, he's a very unselfish basketball player, but has to do that. He has to demand it, because I really don't think there are guys on the team that say, man, I'm not passing Darnell the ball. I mean, because really, as a ball player, if I play with him, I'm passing it to him every time down so he can get double, so I can shoot wide open shots. You know, so I don't think the guys think that way, but he has to demand that thing more. And we got to do a better job of really trying to make tough passes sometime to get him the ball in there.
Was there a point in the game where to win on with him, get some looks that you guys made a point to say, hey, let's try to get back to getting into drawing? And where did kind of things go off track? Because it seemed when you came out and started the second half, you guys were making a point to get inside, you got to cut off the little bit and went away.
Well, I think from our guard standpoint, the way our big guys did such a great job of getting fouled early in that second half. All of a sudden, the three-point shots were so wide open. Then you get consumed with shooting shots. And then every time we call a play for Darnell now, whether they hovered around or whatever the case may have been, we didn't get the ball to him like we needed to. Yeah.
Do you think that a series of close losses take a cumulative effect on a team? I mean, you've been a player and a coach at a high level. Is it something that, obviously, maybe they don't know the exact record, but in single-digit games, the record sort of speaks for itself. Does that start to bother the team eventually?
I think he starts to think about it because, again, the thing I always talk about when you have those type of losses, let's watch film on, let's learn from what took place, so hopefully it doesn't happen again. But, again, you're out there playing basketball. You got to make plays, taking care of the basketball, setting solid screens late in the game, what you like to do through the course of a game, setting solid screens, not getting turnovers, carrying out those assignments defensively, just all those things. But I would imagine for players, you start to think about it. But the thing, when I say, guys, there's nothing wrong with thinking about it, but let's try to correct it when you're thinking about it.
There was a point Saturday after a three-pointer that Jordan made that you called timeout, something that you've done a few times. What's your thinking there when your team has just made a three-pointer?
Well, two things. One, if you got guys long minutes, like say for instance, Darnell's out there the whole time, Jordan McRae, let's get some rest. Then all of a sudden, if we broke down on the previous play offensive, when we're on defense, guys, this is what we need to do. Keep this guy going left, whatever the case may have been, either way. But it's either rest or let's carry out these assignments on the other end of the floor. And I like to do it after a made shot like that because now the guys are calm, they got a peace of mind as opposed to all of a sudden teams making runs. Let's lock in, guys. Let's get back to where we need to be. Let's focus on certain things and keep moving forward.
Also, Georgia's 8-4 in the league, and they lost a guy in Polo Pope, I think, in the lottery last year, and he did so much more. What have you seen from them that they're almost maybe better than they were last year, even with him?
Well, I think those guys, all those guys that returned that he played with, and I think Kenny Gaines, he's probably not the level of Caldwell Pope, but he's a very talented player. And he probably could be that between now and the next couple of years. But the other guys have all returned. Charles Mann is playing really well for him. He's getting to the basket. I think that's the biggest key. They're doing a great job of getting to the free throw line. And I think it helps their team. They lost some tough ones early, but you're trying to find your way, learn your way as a team, and now they're playing better.
You do with the team when you've had, I guess, trouble against a specific team like Georgia. You haven't always had a good record. You guys have struggled against them at times. Yet let your guys know that, hey, this isn't the team that we've played before. It's a new team every year. You make a point to let them know that what happened in the past doesn't necessarily carry over.
Oh, without a doubt. But again, you go into a game plan when you do a scouting report, these are the things in order for us to be successful we need to do. Not necessarily what your record is against a certain team, but these are the things we need to do to be successful. Then you watch film, like I just watched film when we played them last year both times. These are some of the things that we need to correct, look in on, and be conscious of on both ends of the floor. Yeah, but I don't really necessarily say this team has beat us this many times or this was happened, unless it's something that's pertinent to what we're doing as far as our scouting report and game plan.
Coach, how much your defense, right now, your game planning changes up game to game, just, you know, from how much trouble opposing point guards are giving? You have to take, you know, something else like, you know, get help from other areas and things like that.
Well, the thing, you have to do that. And the thing I said to, Darius and Antonio, I thought they did a good job on Clarkson. He was a very talented player, held him to 7 points, and he made 2 big pull-ups down the stretch of the game, in which great one step up and make plays, and he did that. But I thought they did a really solid job on him, with also the help of our big guys corralling their basketball. But it changes from game. We're a man-to-man team, but you can see some zone depending on how teams play, what they present. Because we got to find ways to keep Darius on the floor, and he's going up against some of the best guards. It's a learning lesson for him, but he's making the adjustments, and he's one of those guys that want to be great, and he'll take notes and continue to get better.
It's kind of going through another kind of slide in terms of the shooting. He's been streaky all year, but what have you just told him these last few games of what he's shot?
Keep shooting. And I think in his case, there are shots he has that are open, and he passed that shot up, and then he probably make a tougher shot or make a play when he probably should have just shot that jump shot. So for him, just being ready to shoot the ball when opportunity presents itself, because he's a guy that can make shots, and again, he's in there every morning at 10 o'clock working on his shot. So as long as he's doing that, they'll fall for him, and him keeping his confidence and not worrying about the last shot.
Was there some sort of a common theme in terms of those losses to Georgia last season, in terms of something, you know, schematically or something that they were doing that was really giving you all a hard time? Is there anything that sticks out to you?
I think one of the things in watching film at our place here, it was a game without Trey, and we didn't play well without Trey Golden here. In their place, we had Trey, and they played well, and we had some breakdowns. We had a chance to win the game, but had some breakdowns late in the game. Jordan McCray scored the ball really well, but not necessarily. Not nothing I say. Well, you know, in both games it was a little bit different. Caldwell Pope made some big shots at our place, and he scored the ball well at their place. But they had a couple of the guys made some shots at their place.
In terms of those sort of late game struggles, how much goes into try to maybe scheming up how to correct that or getting the guys in the best positions? Because I mean, I know that the guys they have strengths and weaknesses like everyone else, but in terms of maybe looking at changing things up in those situations, how much goes into the thought process there?
We go about situations offensively, late game situation, 2 minutes left in the game, 1:30 left on the clock, and then we also show video. And it's just part of it. I mean, you have your guys out there that have been in situations before and just making the plays.
When you break down, I think you analyze every aspect of the game. Are you happy with the amount of production you guys are getting, like out of timeouts or chances when you get to go over a play? I think Missouri seemed to score pretty well out of those situations and actually, you know, had an advantage over you guys in that on Saturday. Is that something that you'd like to, I guess, improve on?
Oh, we always look at our timeout situation, defensively, offensively, getting stops. And, you know, we scout what teams, 2 or 3 things that teams might do coming out of timeouts. And we have packages that we like to run out of timeouts. But we always analyze that. Some games better than others, depending. For the most part, we're solid defensively, and then depending on situation and games offensively, how it goes.
With you after made 3 timeouts, you say you wanted to set your defense and give guys rest. How do you balance that versus maybe killing the positive momentum from making that 3-point?
Just what I feel, how I feel the guys, the flow of it. If we're down, if we're up, depending on situations, home, road, just a real feel. And for the most part, it's how guys physically look, how they feel, exhausted, drained. Let's get a timeout, gather yourself, and let's get ready to go.
Coach, I know this is not being asking you from other teams, but maybe right now, I know probably here this weekend, there's a lot of kind of down, negative talk about the league as a whole, so people speculating you may only 2 teams in. Just what's you defend the SEC, you know, why that's not the case, you're right?
I think when you look at the, and I haven't seen it today, teams in the top 100, I would imagine at least there's 6 or 7 teams, if I'm not mistaken, or probably more than that. But again, we just got to do our job and win ball games. And then for us, first and foremost, to represent Tennessee and winning games for Tennessee, then going from there. But I don't understand why the league is considered down